Welcome everybody to our evening with Dr.ABC. I see lots of returning people. We've got a combination of parents, administrators, teachers, educational assistants. I did reach out to some schools in the Jean Augustine area as well today and then gave them an invitation. So welcome to those people as well. And for those of you new to the evening, I'll just give you a little quick bio of Dr. ABC, and then I'm going to do the land acknowledgement, and then we're going to get started. And I screwed it up in the email. The evening is about an hour in length, not an hour and a half. So we'll have a good opportunity for some great information and learning from Dr. ABC. And then there might be a little bit of time left for questions, which you can throw into the chat feature on Zoom, and we can monitor those. And if we don't get to all of the questions, we'll certainly do our best to collate them all and then send out answers to everybody like we have done previously. So for those of you who don't know, Dr. Andrew B. Campbell, hence Dr. ABC, is a graduate from U of T with a PhD in Educational Leadership Policy and Diversity. He's currently a faculty member in the Master of Teaching program at the U of T and an adjunct assistant professor as well at Queen's University. He's an Ontario certified teacher. He's been an educator for over 25 years in countries such as Jamaica, the Bahamas, and Canada. He's the author of 2 books, Teachable Moments with Dr. ABC, A Spoonful for the Journey, and The Invisible Student in the Jamaican Classroom. His research and scholarship have always focused on equity, diversity, inclusion, racism, anti-Black racism, cultural competence, educational leadership, 2S LGBTQ+ issues, and teacher performance evaluations. He continues to present at various peer-reviewed academic conferences across North America and the Caribbean. He's a workshop facilitator, a motivational speaker, has delivered several keynotes. He appreciates fashion, enjoys traveling, meeting new people, and equally finds great pleasure in bringing his community together to share a good meal. And for those of you who are new to the evening, you will fall in love with Dr. ABC, as many of us have. His warm and welcoming presence and his invitation to bring you into the space is always very welcome. And many of us are on very different spaces or learning of this journey, and it doesn't matter where you are in the journey. And tonight's event about growing in cultural competency is going to hopefully help us all move a little bit forward on the continuum and learn a little bit more about inclusion and diversity and working with families and students. And as we do, before we start any meeting, we start with a land acknowledgement. So I would like to share with you that the Peel District School Board is situated on the traditional territories of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and the territories of Treaty 13A, 14, and 19. I make this acknowledgement as one demonstration of our commitment to truth and reconciliation. We honor the Indigenous people who came before us and the continuous Indigenous presence on this traditional territory on which we work and learn. I would also like to acknowledge there are many students, staff, educators, and administrators who are Indigenous and are not from this territory, but who do form part of our Peel Board community. And I think you would all agree with me over the last couple of days with the beautiful spring weather that I think we can give even more thanks to have the opportunity to live where we do and on this land and get out in the sunshine. And I know for many of you, today might have been a very trying day with the late announcement of moving fully online as families tried to navigate who was going to connect with their kids and help them, and teachers pivoting quickly and administrators getting technology out. And so I'm very thankful that you're here tonight, because I'm sure it's been a long and trying day for people, but I think that this evening will energize you and be a good way to cap off your evening. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. ABC.
Thank you so much, Dana. Thank you so much. And good evening, everyone, and welcome to our conversation. I don't know if you see the many thanks and welcome in the box in the chat, Dana, but I'm sure you need to see that as the leader and the number of persons who are saying thank you for having this evening and for bringing us together and that kind of stuff. So that's very, very important. And it's funny because we're a community. This conversation didn't started yesterday. It was very intentional under Dana's leadership with the family of school to have these courageous conversations. And so for all the parents, especially the parents and the grandma and the grandpa, uncle and auntie and nana, and whoever is listening and joining, I want to say a very, very, very special welcome. I can tell you that this is not a one-off. I know many times our schools, we do a lot of one-off. This is not a one-off. I remember the conversations I had with Dana about how much she wanted parents to be a part, families to be a part, community to be a part of the learning. So I just want to say to everybody, welcome to the learning, welcome to the space, welcome to an amazing afternoon or evening of engaging in the learning together as a team. Of course, you know, the session is being recorded, and so it's being recorded because we want to make sure other community members who couldn't be here this afternoon with us, this evening with us, to share in the learning. So the session is being recorded, and you will have the recording to share with your friends, with your neighbors, with anyone who's a part of this family. So I want to talk about cultural competence this evening. Cultural competence. And cultural competence for me, if you ask me, is one of the most important topics when we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. One of the most important topics. And I'm going to tell you why. So people will come to me and say, Dr. Campbell, we want to do some work with our family or school or our organization or a company, whatever they want to start. And then we want to start at topics like, you know, anti-Black racism, or they want to start a topic like racism or something else. And I would say to them, let us pull back and start from the beginning. And the beginning for me is cultural competence. So what does that mean? So I'm going to give you one diagram first, my first diagram, to show you what I mean. So cultural competence continuum is like, it's levels, right? Going across of how we grow in cultural competence, how we get to develop relationships, how we get to understand each other, how we get to respect each other, how we get to interact with each other, how we build relationships. It's all built on cultural competence. What does that mean? Do you have the competence? So let's say you go for a job and somebody says, well, he's not competent, or he doesn't have the competency, or he doesn't have the level of competence we need. What they're actually saying is, you don't have the know-how, you don't have the skills, you don't have maybe the experience, you don't have maybe the relationships that they need. And so it's the same thing with cultural competence. I spoke to two school leaders today, and they said they had 950 students in their school. And I said, wow, that's a beautiful community. Now imagine in our school, if we get to spend time with each other in many ways for us to grow in cultural competence. As I was preparing this, Dana, something came to me. Many of us as educators need to go back to the old days. Now you may say, the old days, Dr. Campbell, come on, you're young. What do you know about the old days? But I grew up with a lot of older teachers around me. When I was a young teacher, almost the entire staff could be my parents. And so I learned so much from my older teachers. And they would say to you, you would have a child at school and something happened. And there was a teacher and staff who knew where the child lived. There was a teacher and staff who know where the mother worked. There was a teacher and staff who know where the father could be found at 12 o'clock. There was a teacher staff who know the church, the mosque, or the temple. And that is what we have to get back to. We have to get to knowing each other. When you see me, you can't just say, well, there's a good-looking Black gentleman that spoke tonight. Well, it's more than just a good-looking Black gentleman, right? Maybe you want to know that I am from Jamaica. I have that Jamaican accent. Maybe you want to know that my favorite food is Asian food. I love Thai. I actually had shrimp fried rice today for lunch, and I had seafood fried rice yesterday. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. I like Thai food, and I get the best pho soup in Ajax. Good place. You want to know that, oh, I like to go to certain islands for vacation. I like coconut water. I am a Christian. You want to know that. Why am I saying that? The more we get to know each other, the more we understand the reason behind our behavior, the more we get to grow. So what we want us to do as a school, as a community, is to understand that each of us tonight, each of us listening, need to grow in cultural competence. So the first question I would ask you, don't answer this aloud. The first question I would ask you is, where are you on the cultural continuum? Where are you? And we're going to discuss this many more times this evening, but where are you? When you see this, I'm sure every one of you did that. You kind of position yourself like, are you culturally destructive? Are you that person? Are you a person who believes in cultural incapacity? What do I mean by that? Cultural incapacity would be an example like this. I went to a school once, and I think I shared this with Dana before, and the school, many of the students at the school were Muslim, and they were celebrating Ramadan. And many of the teachers at the school didn't know it was Ramadan, and many of the classmates did not know their fellow students were fasting. That's cultural incapacity, that you haven't even get to know the people you serve. And so when you don't know who they are culturally incapacitated by you. You literally don't care. Or the next one is cultural blindness. I see you, but I really don't care. I see that it's Chinese New Year, but I really don't care. I see it's Black History Month, whatever, it's February, I don't care. You know, I see that you're celebrating something. I see who you are, I hear you. I see you in your clothes. I see your food. I see your spice. We have to get to know each other. And the one I hope we are at least at is cultural sensitivity, when we open ourselves to learn about each other. And I just want to take a minute to say the chat box is open. Feel free to comment, to type, to share. I see somebody typing already. Thank you for your comments. Remember, this is a family gathering. We are not doing where we lock off the chat and you can't participate. We want you to share in the chat box. If you have a comment, you jump it in. If you have a question, you pull it in the chat box as well. And we're going to engage with each other. So what is cultural competence? Cultural competence, I know it's a busy slide, but I did it on purpose. So cultural competence is about our will, actions to build understanding between people. I need to understand Victoria. I need to understand Errol. I need to understand Dana. I need to understand Azwani. I want to understand Sarah and Paula. I'm Amy. I want to know that. I want to know Brandon. I want to understand his background, his culture, his language, his accent, and I want to celebrate that. I want to respect that, and I want to celebrate that. And a lot of times I catch people, Victoria, because they go, well, I do celebrate. And then I say, okay, but how do you celebrate what you don't know? How would I celebrate your birthday, Victoria, if I didn't know it was your birthday? How would I celebrate your anniversary if I didn't know it was your anniversary? How would I celebrate what your religion and your custom if I don't know? I need to spend quality time to know you so we can celebrate you. And as educators, I want to say to the parents that a lot of schools have recognized, let me say this, I've recognized that we have not taken out the time to learn you more. And so I can tell you there are many teachers I know personally who are working on strategies to get to learn the families more, the parents more, the culture more. They want to know you more, because the more we know you, the more we appreciate you, the more we value you, the more we work with you intentionally. So that's what cultural competence is about. It's about our will, our actions to build understanding between people, to be respectful and open. Here comes the word, to different cultural perspective, strengthen our cultural security, and work towards equality and opportunity. Let me just say this right now. This is not going to happen tonight. For those who think, oh, when we are finished, we're going to be culturally competent 8 o'clock tonight. No, it's a journey. It is a journey. And I love this one. Look at this one. Look at this next one by Guzman. I love this one by Guzman. Guzman says, gaining cultural competence is a lifelong process of increasing self-awareness. Note that word, self-awareness first, developing social skills and behaviors around diversity, and gaining the ability, I love this, to advocate for others. It goes beyond tolerance. Don't just tolerate me. I want you to celebrate me, appreciate me, respect me. It goes beyond tolerance, which implies that one is simply working to overlook your difference. I'm not here to overlook anybody's difference. I'm here to see your difference. We have difference in age. We have difference in culture. We have difference in customs. We have difference in our food. Let me hasten to show you a slide I want to go to for a minute. I just want to go to this side and I come back. I want to show you the difference we have. Look at the inner circle of our difference. The inner circle, our physical disabilities, our age, our gender, our race, our ethnicity, our sexual orientation, our language, our accent. But look at the outside. Look at the outside circle, our geographical location, our parental status, our work background, our marital status. We are all different. Even, watch me carefully, even our thinking styles. That is why our teachers are understanding more and more parents that there are many ways we can do maths. There are many ways we can do a subject. There are many ways we can do a test or an exam or an assessment. There are many ways for us to do that because we are different and we are learning how to appreciate that difference. We are learning how to center that difference. I see a commitment. I see a comment and I want to read 2 comments from first person. That's a lovely concept because it enhances celebration and makes conversations meaningful. And I think this is from Nainka. It is Nainka. Did I pronounce your name right? Could you give me a thumbs up or put on your mic and give me the pronunciation, please? Is it Nainka?
Hey, thank you so much. Well, it is Nanika. Yes.
Nanika. Thank you, Nanika. I appreciate it so much. And I did it for a reason, Nanika, because I do not know the pronunciation of all our names. And what we have to try to do is to stop disrespecting each other by you tell me your name now. You said it's Nanika. And I just said, well, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. We have to stop that. And that is a part of cultural destructiveness, where your name is a part of your identity. And I have not spent the time to learn your name, to respect your name, to appreciate the meaning behind your name. We have to start. These are all little things about cultural competence. And I can tell you, Nanika, I can tell you, I have done a lot of talks, a lot of people, and it's not the first I've asked person to turn on their mic and share my pronunciation. I have asked people to send me emails to give me the phonetic pronunciation, because no, your name is not too long. Your name is not too hard for me to learn to pronounce. And I want you to teach your kids that, parents. Teach your children that your name is not too long. Your name is not too hard for your classmates and your teachers and your friends to pronounce. We need to see you. I want to see you as you are. And that is a part of our cultural development. So let's get into it. So why cultural competence? Why we need this? Why we need this? I mean, why? The first one is that societies are increasingly becoming globalized. If you walk into any school today, you notice there are students from all over. I remember Dana, I was in a school a couple years ago, and there was a room full, a lot of Asian kids in my class, a lot of Asian kids. But I had kids who were from China, South Korea, Japan, Vietnam in my class. So when we see, for instance, our Asian students, you cannot just say, oh, there goes a Chinese. Nope. Nope. That's not how we do it. No. You need to be fine. Where are you from? Where are you original? Oh, you're from Asia. You're from China. You're from Philippines. You're from Laos. Oh, wow. Vietnam. Wow. You're learning these things. And guess what? The more you increase in your understanding of each other, you're going to increase in your understanding of the world. I want to repeat that. The more you learn and understand each other, the more you learn and understand the world. For me, I think I learned so much because I learned from people. You know, some persons, they don't know the value of talking to people who are different from you. That's a value. You learn things. You go, wow, I didn't know they do that in India. I didn't know they do that in Sri Lanka. Wow, that's what they do in Jamaica, in Guyana. Wow. And you grow. So we need to learn that cultural competence. The next reason is that because persistent issues around us, cross-cultural contact, discrimination, and related challenges. We see a lot going on around us. We see racism. We see anti-Black racism. We see anti-immigrant. We see homophobia. We see Islamophobia. We see the other day, we see all the issues with anti-Asian. We see anti-Indigenous. We see what's going on around us. And we want to make sure that our students and our families feel connected to our learning institutions. This school is yours. You belong in our school. You are not a stranger to our school. You belong in our school. I have always said to my children, my students, I said, if you all don't come to school, I don't have a job. And they would laugh. And I said, well, think about it. If the government is going to pay me to teach the walls, I don't think so. So I said, you are valuable to me. I come here because you are here. I come to school because I come to school to teach. That's why I'm in school as a teacher. I am here to teach. So you're important to me. I want to get to know you. The next reason we talk about cultural competence we have on our list here is the discrimination and bias in various forms are hurtful all around. We have to understand that these are hurtful. Hurtful. Students are being hurt in our school because of the food they bring to school. That's a big one. We have to learn how to disrupt those kind of deficit thinking. We see where our Black kids sometimes are, racialized and marginalized and excluded. We see students with certain different abilities because they don't have the same academic level. You kind of push them aside or you ignore them. We see that some students in ESL feel like they are left out and they are by themselves. We have to learn how to make sure in every single thing we do that we allow people to feel included. To feel included. I see Ivy Brown put, this is an educative concept. Together, we will build a better community. Absolutely. Because you know what? You are not a community by yourself. We need each other. And the last two on the list is the changing face of the Canadian classroom. If you are teachers who are listening to me, I know there are some teachers in the room as well. You cannot teach your class this year like you taught it 10 years ago. And 5 years to come, you will not be able to teach the students the same way. Things are changing. We have to be open to the change, open to the dynamics. And guess what? We can do it. You know why we know we can do it? Some of us have been amazing during this pandemic. We have learned how to change and adjust and be flexible. We have opened ourselves to so many possibilities. And because of that, we're surviving. We're surviving. I heard Dana at the beginning, the first thing she asked was, how was your first day going back online? Is everybody okay? She did a check-in. And many persons said, managing, doing well, it's okay. We're there. We are there. And so we have to understand that we need that cultural competence to be there for our families, to be there for our students, to be there for our colleagues, to be there for the community. Just like you are sharp in your skill to be a great teacher because you want the knowledge, it's the same way you're sharp in your skill with cultural competence. So the next one is, this is a very big one for me, cultural humility. Let us go to the chat box, everybody. Go to the chat box for me. And I want you to type for me in the chat. Let's talk in the chat for a minute. What do you think that means? Cultural humility. What does that mean to you? Cultural humility. Cultural humility. I see some many comments from Charmaine. I see some Alim. Thank you. I see some really good comments in the chat. When you say cultural humility, what does that mean to you? Everybody, let's try. Melbourne, willingness to learn. That's the winning answer, Melbourne. That's a willing, that's a winning answer. Our first answer is the answer. Willingness to learn, willing to listen. I think you accept that you need to grow. Amy, I love that. I actually love that. Accept that you need to grow. I love that. Accept that you need to grow. Have you accepted that you need to grow? Have you accepted that you don't know everything? Have you accepted that you may be Christian and I may be Muslim, or I may be Hindu, or I may be non-religious, and then you get, I need to know more about you and I can converse with you so I could know more. Alvin said, drive to learn. I have lots to learn. That's cultural humility. You have and Paula acknowledging that there is lots I don't know about other culture. You know, another thing I didn't get from you, these are A+ answers. The answer I was looking for one more is about the fact that you're going to make mistakes in the journey. We're going to make mistakes in the journey. I love this, Denny. I love this, Denny. The willingness to unlearn. Can I say something, Denny? Can I share with you a story? You know, I'm a storyteller. If you don't know me, Denny, you'll learn. I love to tell stories. When I came to Canada, I tell a story all the time. In 2008, I migrated from Jamaica to Canada. Well, I lived from Jamaica to the Bahamas, then the Bahamas to Canada. And I went downtown Toronto, Denny, and I saw quite a bit of people that looked quite different from others. And I said to, who are those people? And somebody said, oh, these people are First Nations people, indigenous people. And I go, wow, because remember, I am from Jamaica, and our history of indigenous people has been lost. They were all murdered in that Christopher Columbus coming and the Spaniards. All our indigenous people, the Arawaks, were wiped out. So we had the Arawaks in the Caribbean, we have the Caribs, we have the Mayas, we have the, but where I am from, we had the Arawaks, all wiped out. So when I saw First Nations person, I was so excited. But Denny, within about less than a week, I would have conversation with people because I wanted to know more. And can I tell you something? 9 out of 10 things was said to me about First Nations were negative. Negative. And that bothered me for so long, that bothered me. And you know what I did, Denny? I did exactly what you just asked us to do. I took the willingness to unlearn so I could learn. I registered in a course about First Nations. I registered in a course because I needed to learn, but I also needed to unlearn some of those things that were taught to me when I just came to Canada. And so I love what you said, the willingness to unlearn in order to learn. So let me ask you a question. All of us don't have to answer this in the chat. And thank you everybody for your participation. You have been amazing. This is an amazing evening. Your energy has been just literally off the bat amazing. Ask yourself, be very honest with yourself right now. Those of you in the room and those who are listening, take 10 seconds and ask yourself, what is something about another culture, another person that I would wish to unlearn? What is something about Muslims that I need to unlearn? I hear a lot about Muslim, especially when we had the 9/11 thing in America. You hear a lot about Muslim. Many of us been to the airport and we didn't want to go on a plane if we see somebody in a hijab. And we didn't want to go on the plane if we see somebody near us in any kind of head wrap. Think about it. You didn't intentionally learn it, but you actually learned that because society was preaching that message and we all got into it. You know, Muslims are bad people. Nisa, I love what you said. Our women are treated. Thank you. Gender issues. Thank you, Nisa. Gender issues. What is one thing you want to unlearn about the value of women? What is one thing you want to unlearn about immigrants? What is one thing you want to unlearn about LGBTQ people? What is one thing you want to unlearn about Christians and Jews? What is one thing you need to unlearn about the Rastafarian? What is one thing you need to understand and learn about somebody who is even a drug addict? What is one thing? I'm going to get closer now. I'm getting closer now. What is one thing you want to learn about single parents that we were taught? And I'm going to shock you right now. As a young teacher, let me get into it. As a young teacher, one of those things that we had, Dana, in my school in Jamaica, we just like we had parents' eve, we called it report card evening. I was a little bit different. We give the report card the same evening as the meeting. We used to do that back home in long ago. And when you say to the parents to show up, the parents who don't show up, we wash our hands of them. Because those are the parents we said they didn't care. They weren't good parents. They didn't care about their children learning. They didn't have no connection to school. They didn't buy books. And we went on and on. I would never forget, I was a young teacher. And this was a kind of narrative around me. Until I realized, as I grew older and I grew mature as a teacher, I realized, no, Mr. Campbell, that's me. I am Mr. Campbell. I was like, no, Mr. Campbell. There are parents who didn't attend because they could not take off from work. There are parents who didn't attend because nobody else would be at home to take care of the 3 or 4 kids and they can't afford babysitting. There are parents who didn't attend because they were not well. There are parents who didn't attend. I'm going to give you another one who didn't attend because they felt like none of us as teachers cared or respected their presence. A parent told me that. He said, I don't come down to the school because I don't think none of you respect parents. That broke my heart. So we have to learn, as Danny reminded us, of the cultural competence to unlearn certain things so we can learn. We have to clean up our act so we can get more. And we make a lot of assumptions. We have to break down the assumptions. We have to break down the stereotypes. The cultural humility principle says lifelong commitment to learning and critical self-reflection. See that word critical is when you talk to yourself and you say, come on, man, Andrew. Come on, Mr. Campbell. Come on, DR.ABC. You really, really shouldn't have said that. Do better. You challenge yourself. I shouldn't have challenged you. You challenge yourself. The desire to fix imbalances. When you see teachers are pushing hard to make sure every single child gets what they need, that's how we fix the in-power balances. Not everything we need from the school board or from the government. There are things we can do in our own classroom, and I want to repeat that. Sometimes as teachers, we forget the power we have in our own classrooms. As parents listening to me, you also have power to speak to your child's teacher. Some of you parents, I'm telling you, we need you to come to our schools more and speak to us, reach out to us. Tell us how you're feeling. Tell us what is lacking. Ask us questions so we can maybe help you to understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. Build a relationship of trust. It's number 3, the mutual respect and trust. So we are not going to do this breakout activity, but what we're going to do, we're going to do it as a group. We're going to do it as a group, and then we're going to take a few questions later on. Let's do this as a group. So the question is, ways we can grow as a school in cultural competence. So what I want us to do, I want us to go to the chat again. Let's go to the chat, everybody, and share with me one way you believe we can grow as a school in cultural competence. One way we can grow, one suggestion you have. And I know some of you have already put out quite a bit of suggestion. We have 61 people in the room right now. I want 61 responses. Ways we can grow. And I'm going to read them for the recording because we won't get to, the recording doesn't record the chat, which is great. You know, we don't need to put people's name on video and those things, but that's fine. We can get to read it. So thank you, Ian, for starting us off. Better representation at school and community council. Absolutely important. Absolutely. The representation is major, EM, major. Respecting, celebrating festivals across. I'm going to come back to that celebrating festival for a reason. I'm going to come back to that for a reason. It's a powerful one. Teach history of others. Whoa. I don't think I have time to talk about everything because there's so much powerful answer. Thank you, Alim. Teach history of others from around the world. Invite families into everything. Teachers, I want you to hear that. Invite families into everything. We need to invite families more than when it's just parents' evening. And I say that without apology, Dana, because I have done it. I have invited parents to just come to read a story. I've invited parents to just, today we're doing a fabulous lesson. The kids are going to be doing some science demonstration. I said, parents, if you are home and you want to stop by between 1 and 3, we're doing science experiment. That was when we had that science kit that came to the school. And I had about 8 or 9 parents who came. And you know what they end up doing, Victoria? They end up sharing in the lesson. They end up participate in the science demonstration. They will never forget that when I invited them to come and join the science demonstration. Invite them in. Let them feel a part. More than when it's just for time for a conversation or a complaint. I love what you said. This your number 7,792.71. Incorporate cultural activities in the lessons. Parents and families are talking to me. Talk to me. I appreciate it. Thank you. Incorporate more of the cultural activities in the lessons. I heard what you said. I think it is Sukwinda. School didn't listen anything. Racism is starting from school. I thank you for saying the truth. Don't you feel like when you say something here, we are going to be offended? We are having strong conversation. We see it happening in schools. We see incident of racism right in school. And I can tell you, we are working to crush it. We are working to crush it. The other day, I'm sure you heard it was over about a school where a child used one little child I think it was grade 2 called another grade 2 child the N-word. And what I remember, what I love, because it was all over the Twitter, what I loved was the number of persons who asked, what did the teacher do? What is the school doing? And the number of persons who also said, I hope this is not a private conversation in the school office, but a broader one in the school. And I must tell you, that was a perfect answer. You cannot deal with that just between the 2 little boys or the 2 little girls. You have to know where that came from and deal with that. Wow, you just said something very powerful. Nanika, powerful. I hope we are looking at the chat box. Nanika said, children fake accents to feel accepted. I've seen that. I know that. But do you know why people are forced to do that? Get ready for the answer, Nanika. Because they see the lack of cultural competence. They see the lack of value on their lives. They see the lack of respect. And when they see that, they said, oh, for me to be accepted, I can't talk with my Jamaican accent. For me to be accepted, I can't bring my Filipino fish sauce to school. Real story, I'm telling you now. For me to be accepted, I can't eat with my hands with my rice like I do at home. For me to feel accepted, when everybody's wearing their dress up day, I can't wear my sari because that looked old fashioned. For me to be accepted, I have to be somebody else. We have to learn through cultural competence to allow people to bring their whole self to our schools. Melbourne talked about the police in schools. Thank you, Melbourne, for sharing that, and that they are gone. There were issues. Absolutely. I see the parents sharing, and I love it, and I appreciate every word you're saying. Nisa said, unfortunately, sometimes it comes from homes. Absolutely, Nisa. Why do you think we're here today as a team? because I want parents to understand. Now get me parents, watch me now parents. Watch me carefully parents. This is especially for you because you know I talk to the teachers, and let me just tell you, Dana will tell you, when I speak to teachers, I speak to them from my heart. I speak to them honest, and I do not hold back. So here is what I want to say to you parent and guardians and uncle and auntie and Grammy and Nana. I see you. Hear what I want to say to you. You have a role to play at home. You have a role to play at home, and I'm going to show you later on. You're going to see, but I don't want to get into it yet. You're going to see from my slides later on. So parents, get ready. Don't you leave. We're here for a good solid 1 hour together. We're near there. And I want you to see what I'm going to say to you later on. All right, let's move on quickly. Wonderful. So the first level of competence is knowing who you are. And Nanika, I want to go back to your comment because sometimes because of the lack of cultural competence, we force people to pretend to be someone they are not. And we want to teach our kids how to love who they are and be who they are and be proud of who they are. That's why I talk about Black excellence all the time. And for those who don't know, we have a recording for our Black excellence. So if you're a Black parent and you miss that, or you are any parent and you miss that, actually, you can make sure you send an ask. Could I see a copy? I'll get a copy of the Black excellence video that Dr. Campbell did last month with the parents. And I recognize some of you who are here. So welcome again. You need to have that awareness of self. Know your bias. Because guess what, parents? We are biased. I have bias. You have biased, parents. But we want us to work on breaking down those biases because they come from our assumptions. I remember many persons had bias against Rastafarian. Oh, Rasta people are nasty. Rasta people don't wash their hair. Rasta this. I heard those bias, and I've heard it from parents. I've heard it from people in the community. Oh, those children don't do that, and those children don't do that. We have to learn how to realize that we are doing the damage as well. I want us to take responsibility for our growth in cultural competence. Let me show you what I mean. I want us to take responsibility from getting from cultural destructiveness to cultural competence. Nobody can do that for you. If we add 10 evenings and we invite you 10 times and you decide, I am not going to do any learning, I will not do any growing, I will not do any unlearning, we have wasted our time. We have wasted our time. It's an individual action, everybody. It's an individual action taking us. You do not know the biases you harbor and you are powerless against them. And many are harming others unintentionally. Are you harming somebody unintentionally? What's your body language when you see certain people? What are the things you see at the dining table? When your child comes home and say, Daddy, or Mom, or Grammy, or Auntie, or Uncle, or Goddy, or Nana, something happened at school today. This little girl did this, this little girl did that, this little boy did that. What is your response? Parents, I'm calling on you to make sure you understand your responsibility in growing cultural competence with your kids, with your students. And trust me when I tell you, we had this very conversation as a school. Our workshop we did this very workshop. And I said to the teachers, you have a responsibility as an educator to grow in cultural competence. Absolutely. Absolutely. What are you doing? The problem is when we deny, we fail to acknowledge our biases. Our interactions and perceptions of others may be influenced. So we have to acknowledge it. So here we get into the nitty-gritty as we wrap up. Where are you on the competence? So now we're going to get into the competence. Where are you? Remember we had the arrow? This is the same thing except now we're adding words to it. And I'm sorry I didn't tell you before, you can take any pictures of any of the slides. If you have your camera, take pictures of any of the slides. You can take picture of me, I'm fine with that. It's being recorded, so you're going to get a recording to share later on to listen again, okay? Let's take it from each level. Culture of destructiveness. You see the difference and you want to stomp it out. I don't care about sexual orientation. I don't care about gay. I don't care about that. No, not here. I don't care. You're stomping it out. You make it bad. You make it negative. Oh, here she comes wearing a hijab. I really don't want, I really don't like people who wear hijab. That's cultural destructiveness. You are seeing the difference and you are stomping it out. You are being intentionally destructive. That's what we talk about, cultural destructiveness. The next one is cultural incapacity. You see the difference. You make it wrong. You see the difference and you make it wrong. Elevating the superiority of your own cultural values and beliefs, suppressing those of others. The next one is cultural blindness. You see the difference and you act as if you don't. We have to see each other. We have to appreciate each other. We have to see the difference. Acting as if the cultural differences you see do not matter, or not recognizing that there are differences among and between cultures. It's important we honor our differences. So here is my question. Are any one of us at this level? This is first for you to think about. No answer publicly. If you are at any one of these three, what I call the low level of the continuum, I want you to think about how you're going to get out of this level. This is not the right place to be. If you are blind, you can't see me. If you are culturally blind, you don't appreciate me. If you are culturally incapacitating me, you are holding me back. You're not allowing me to grow. You're not allowing me to prosper. You're not allowing me to be my best. If you're culturally destructive, you're allowing me, like somebody said, to deny who I am, to walk with a fake accent, to pretend I don't know my culture, to be ashamed of my voice, ashamed of my food, ashamed of my identity. I won't get an opportunity because you have made me less than valuable. What we want to do instead is get to a place at the higher levels of the continuum. Before I get to this, I'm going to surprise you for those who some of you may know me, some of you don't. When people ask me, Dr. Campbell, where are you? You have been doing this work for years. You teach equity courses at the university. You do this kind of work. I have written books and articles on this. Where are you? And I know they want it, they're thinking, they're assuming that I'm going to say I'm at cultural proficiency, the top level. I don't put myself there though, Dana. I put myself at cultural competence. Why? I leave space for me to consistently grow, because every day I am growing. Every day I'm growing. And I see a question. Remember, if you have a question, you can put it in the box. I see a question or comment from Denny. Denny, I have to take that comment. It is so powerful. You said, can I be in more than one? Absolutely, yes. So sometimes what happened, Denny, is that you're at a space. So let me give you a perfect example of what that looks like, Denny. I consider myself to be at cultural competence. But because of an incident, something happened, I may have in that incident, I may have actually done something quite erasive, right? Or culturally blind at that situation. So that doesn't mean that's where you are placed. It means you made a mistake, you made an error, you lack judgment, you lack growth, and you are working on growing. But yes, you can be at more than one level based on what's going on around you. But we want you to come to the place where at least you are culturally sensitive. And culturally sensitive doesn't mean you understand everybody. Oh no, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that. It means you're open to learning. You see something, you go, why does people eat that? Why do they wear that? Why do they do that? Why do they celebrate like that? Why do they paint their face like that? Why are they doing that? You are curious. You are not accusing. You are curious. And let me just say this to you. When I came to Canada, I will never forget my first job. I worked for a college in 2008. And I remember when I went to training in California, I was a director of education. I was a leader in the college. And they said to me, one of the things you should do whenever students come to you with any issue, they said, sit at curious. I will never forget that learning. They say, sit at curious. Sit at the place where you're open to listen. You're open to learn. You're open to understand. You're open to have a wow moment. You're open to have a ha-ha moment because you don't know everything. So that's what cultural sensitivity is about. You see the difference around you. You may respond inadequately. Notice that what says Denny. You may respond inadequately, but at least you're at the place where you're willing to know that you don't know it all and you're open to grow. The next level, of course, is cultural competence, where you want all of us to be at, where you see the difference and you understand the difference that difference makes, and you value people around you. You value their contribution. You value their identity. You value their voices. If you look back in the chat box, everybody, look back in the chat box. And I want teachers who are in the room to copy some of those things on the chat box. I think I see some of you taking notes. When our parents, I ask you one thing we can do, and you talk about the festivals, the history, it was there. These are the tools you use to grow in cultural competence. I love to tell a story. I told it a bit. I'm going to tell a quick one. I'm going to share this, a quick one, Victoria. So I was teaching at a school in Scarborough a couple of years ago, and the school is mostly Greek kids, Orthodox Greek kids. Mostly, the school is filled with mostly Orthodox Greek kids. We have Indian kids, we have a few black kids, it's a handful. We have hijab wearing Muslim kids, yes, and a lot of white kids, but mostly Greek kids. And I didn't know, because I was new to the school, that the Greek Orthodox, one of the holidays that they don't come to school, but it's not a TDSB holiday, but they don't come to school. So I was informed by the teacher that, Mr. Campbell, tomorrow most of the kids won't be at school, so whatever, you know, we're gonna make it work. And I go, what? They said yes. And so the next day I came to school, of course, many of the students, maybe more than half my class was missing. And I tell you this, Victoria, I spend the whole day just wondering, what are they doing? I want to know what they're doing. I spend the whole day being curious because it was new to me, totally new. So when they came back to school the next day, I literally make a big circle and I ask everybody to share. And you'd be surprised how excited they were to share. And they tell me what they did and the food they eat. And they showed me pictures of the clothes they wear. I said, oh no, you can't leave me out of this at all. I want to be a part of this celebration as a teacher, and your other classmates want to know about this. And so what happened? I spent 3.5 years at that school. What happened the next year, when it was time again, I said to the students, I want to get involved. I want to get involved in this. And it was so funny. The parents heard that Mr. Campbell wanted to know more about. And they decided, my parents in my class decided they are going to bring Greek food and all that kind of stuff. And I like dressing up. So I said to the students, when you come back, can you also wear your clothes, your costume, your representation clothes? And they was like, yes, sir. And the next day when I came back, the next year, we had Greek food. We had our students dressing up, come to school. It was so amazing. But you know what that did? That said to the students and the parents, Mr. Campbell cares about who I am. He cares about me just more than the pencil and the paper and the laptop and the book and the curriculum. He cares about me as a person. And so you have to find ways to make sure you show that you are culturally competent, you are growing. So why is it important to know where you are on the continuum? These are questions I want to leave with you. We are not going to answer them. These are questions for your reflection. So I want you to take a picture of these questions. Why is it important for you to know where you are on the continuum? What factors helped you to determine where you place yourself? Think about the current continuum. What factors help you to determine where you placed yourself? What is important to know? And the next one is, here comes a powerful question. What do you need to help you successfully move along in the right direction? What do you need? We talk about learning and unlearning. We talk about things we wanted to learn. We had that conversation earlier. What are the things we want to learn? I see a lot of beautiful comments in the chat. Thank you so much. I see the comments. Absolutely. It celebrates each other. So let's get into this as we wrap up quickly. Parents. What can parents do? Nobody else have this slide. I can tell you, this is just for parents. Nope, this is not for teachers. This is for parents. This evening is about parents and community and grandma and grandpa, granddaddy, uncle, cousin, big brother. If you are here, welcome, welcome, Grammy, welcome everybody. This is for you. What can we do? And I'm going to change this next time, Dana. When we do this another time, maybe next year, I'm going to change it. I'm going to take out the word parents, and I'm going to put parents, I'm going to put family, I'm going to put guardian, I'm going to put caregiver, because I want you to understand it's not just about parents. It's all of us. So if you're auntie, pull up your chair close. If you're Grammy, pull up your chair close. If you're Nana, pull up your chair close. Big brother, pull up your chair. It's for you. What can we do? Respect differences in families' home lives. Not every family is the same. I want you to respect that. I want you to respect that some of us come from different kinds of family. I want you to teach your children also how to respect that. I really want you to teach your children also how to respect that. You respect it, but also teach your children how to respect that. It's very important that you do that. The next point I want to leave with all of us is recognize that diversity contributes to the richness of our society. I want you to recognize that. Take a picture of this slide, recognize that. Diversity contributes to the beauty of our society. All of us. The next thing I want parents to do is, what can we do? Next slide, more things for parents, more things for us as a team. We're working as a team, more things as a team. And I see more stuff in the chat. Thank you so much for your contribution. I want to stop to read something that Alim wrote. Nature gives a good example of diversity working in harmony. There is diversity in plants, animals, insects, trees, bacteria. Why do us as human species do not accept and celebrate our differences and turn it into a strength? Thank you for that, Alim. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I like to read what people are sharing in the chat because it's so important to pull you in the space. So let's get another pointer right here on our next slide. Demonstrate. Come on now. Demonstrate an ongoing commitment to developing your cultural competence. You will make mistakes. You will get it wrong. You will mispronunciate a word. You will make an assumption. You will have your bias will act up, and you'll think different about something. But make sure you make a commitment to have learning and that aha moment, and to realize why I will not do this again. Why I will not say this again. It really bothers me when persons use a negative word to describe someone, and the person turned to you and said, I don't like that word. And instead of being humble and respectful to say, oh, I'm sorry, what do you want me to use? And I said, I want you to use this word. You know what many people have done? They fight you to use the word that they want to use. Think about that. You know, when I hear people talk about racism and anti-Asian and anti-Indigenous and anti-immigrant, and I hear people ask questions like, well, why is this word bad? And I said, I know I'm a doctor. I have a PhD. This is what I do. I could give you 5 research reasons, but I find it wastes my time to do that. Why? Because you don't want 5 reasons. What you're doing is being aggressive. You're being racist, and that's what you're doing. I don't waste my time. I say to you, maybe what you should do is respect that the person says to you, I don't want to be referred to as that word. So whenever you see someone try to argue with you about why you need, for instance, they see you in a hijab and they said, why you wear the hijab? And I said, oh, because I'm a Muslim and I like to wear my hijab. Their job now is to argue with you about the many reasons why you shouldn't wear that. That's not cultural competence. That's somebody who's being destructive. Because I already explained to you why I wear this hijab. What you should have done is to appreciate my response. Appreciate hurting each other, disparaging each other, discriminating against each other, putting each other into trauma. We can't do that if we want to be culturally competent. Next one on our list. Have conversation. Oh, I love this one, Dana. It's one of my favorite one, Dana. Have conversations with your children about respecting and appreciating differences. Dear parents, you need to have those conversations at the dining table, on the sofa, in the backyard, by the poolside, outside, and the carpet, on the stand, down the cellar, in the basement, on the staircase, when you're walking the dog, when you're playing with the cat. You need to have those conversations with your children. And I'll give you a tip. Many of you are amazing. You still read with your kids in the night. I want you to open up. I want you to listen to me, parents. I want you to open up your reading. Open up your reading. I want you to challenge yourself to choose stories that are different. Maybe tonight you read a story about this is a girl who celebrated Ramadan. You are a white parent. You are not Muslim, but you want your child to know that somebody celebrates a different religion. We go to Christian church or go to Jewish church, but this person goes there. You maybe want to read a book about a little black boy in the country. So, and you read about his house in the woods and you go, wow, he's in a rural area. So now you're teaching your child about city and country and rural and urban. You need to go, and I'm saying this, parents, open up yourselves. Borrow a book from the library, actually bring home a different book, buy a different book that speaks about somebody else's culture. What can parents do? Final 2 lists as we close. Ensure your children have a strong awareness. But remember, I said this before, of their own identity. I am calling upon especially our parents of color, our Black parents, our parents of color. I'm calling upon you especially. Remember, racialized parents, Black, Indigenous people of color, our Indian, our Sri Lankan, our Punjabi, our Jamaican, our Caribbean, our Hispanic, our Latina parents, our immigrant parents from continental Africa, wherever you're from, wherever you're born here, right here. I want you to ensure you spend time with your children to let them know who they are and how beautiful they are, how beautiful they are, how beautiful the color of their skin is, how beautiful their eyes are, how beautiful their lips are, how beautiful their songs, their music, their drumming, their Indian songs, how beautiful their saris, how beautiful their spice and the saffron and the curry. Ah, I love talking about food. How beautiful their jerk chicken is and their jerk pork and their chicken feet. Oh, I eat chicken feet. I love chicken feet. I love chicken feet. How beautiful is their noodles and their ramen and their Thai food and their fried rice. How beautiful is their tea and their hot chocolate and their coffee, their croissant, their dumpling, their bake, their roti, man. How beautiful is all of that? You have to let your children know that, because too many of our kids are coming to school and they are coming damaged. because of what's happening in society. You, the parents, you have to pour in the wine, pour in the oil. You have to make sure they know who they are. And the last one on our list, provide opportunity to expose them to other ways. Other ways. I close with this story. When I was, when I was in the classroom for a couple of years ago, I was at a particular school, and it was kind of weird because quite a bit of the parents would go away for business, quite a privileged area in school. And they would say to me, Mr. Campbell, I'm going away. Or I had 3 kids who would go back to, funny enough, would go back to India. I think their father was a businessman, and he'd take them back to India like 3 months of the school year or 2 months. And for a while, one went to Europe, one went different places. And they would say to me, we're going away for 4 or 5 weeks. Can you give us things, to do, to learn? And I would say to them, I can, and I used to, but I say to them, you know what I want you to do, parents, when you go to these foreign country with your kids, I want you to spend some time taking them to the museum, taking them to see different things. When you travel the world with your children, expose them to difference. Mom, Dad, why is that person wearing that? Make it a 5 minutes conversation that people are different. We're in a different place. They wear this, they wear that, they eat that. And you'll grow from them. You come to the place where they learn to appreciate their differences. They learn to appreciate their differences. So we're going to stop there. We're going to stop there. We're a little bit over time, but that's fine. What I'm going to do still, Dana, is let us say we could take 1 or 2, no more than maybe 2 questions. Can we take 1 or 2 questions? Remember, we are recording, so if you want to use the mic, you're going to be on camera, don't forget. So you're going to be on camera if you use the mic. If you take the mic, you're going to be on camera. If not, you could type your question in the box. Let's take 2 questions before we wrap up. This has been a beautiful evening. The encouragement, the energy in the chat box, I must say, Dana, impressive. Impressive. Thank you so much, community. Thank you so much, parents. Thank you. I think maybe there are even students in the room. Thank you for joining us as well. Do we have any questions? No, I think we put everything in the chat box, right? I think we did, because we're going to wrap up right now. I think we did that. And I'm sure we'll meet again. Thank you so much. I want to say, I just have to say a special hello. I think it's up there in the box, Harold. It's Harold up there in the box. That look out, just a special, I think you were maybe one of the first set that came in this evening in the room. And I just want to say, I see you. I said, oh, look at Grammy and Granddad. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to have you join us. It felt so good when I see you. And Nanika, I see a question. I have a question from 9-year-old attending the session with me. Go ahead, Nanika, and take the mic and ask a question, or you can type it. But go ahead and take the mic, Nanika. We'll take 1 question from you. Go ahead, Nanika.
Thank you so much. This is actually from my son, and he's attending the session with me, and he is saying that he wants to ask a question from you. So
Please.
Just give me a moment. Go ahead, say whatever you want.
So my question was that, like, what if a bully is asking you to be a racist and you don't want to be racist? So what should you do in that sort of situation?
Oh, thank you so much for that question. Can we give a clap for him? Thank you so much for being so brave, and thank you for asking that question. He says, what if a bully is asking you to be racist and you don't want to be racist, but the bully is telling you to be racist? Now, the first thing we want to know is that that's a bully. So I actually think you have the answer in your question. That's a bully. And a bully should not be telling you anything, because a bully, by term of definition, is a person who's doing the wrong thing. Absolutely doing the wrong thing. So what you have to do is do a couple of things I would do. Number 1, I want you to tell an adult. I want you to tell your teacher, you trust your teacher to know your teacher will fix it, will attend to it. Say to your teacher privately, quietly, what happened, what the bully, who is the bully, and what the bully asks you to do. And make sure you said, just like you told me, I don't want to be a racist, but he's telling me to do this. You report that bully to your teacher. Absolutely do that. And then when you go home, you tell mom. You actually tell mom as well. And then you tell mom that you did tell the teacher. Absolutely. And the teacher will follow up. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that question. And remember,
Thank you.
you're welcome. You never follow a bully. Never follow a bully. Absolutely not. Never follow a bully. You make sure you tell your and your teacher will do something about it. Thank you so much. I think it's Sukwinda. You have a question. We're going to take that question as well. Thank you so much. Your mic is off, sir. Your mic is off. So you could turn your mic on. I could assist you with that. Awesome. You got it? It's still off. Let me see if I could assist you with that.
That's okay.
It's on now. Yeah, wonderful. Go ahead.
Okay. I have a question. I like the cultural things, right? We went to Europe, we went other few countries, right? We need to learn every culture, right? But I think, when our schools, right, they make something for the culture, right? The cultural things or whatever, right? They don't think how the cultural thing, because the cultural and religious is a different things, right? There is, when we ask our schools, right? I know that everybody don't know. If somebody asks me, I don't know for everything, right?
Yes.
Right. The problem was when there is a certain community people, right? They don't think about the culture, right? They think about how they promote the religious, right? And that things, when other people knows, right? Other students know, then it's they are feeling racism.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And this is because why our school system, they don't get advice from, right, reality things, right?
Thank you.
I think this way, so that's why is the most of the racism is starting from there, right? Well, especially when we educating in the school, we need to focus on education or cultural things. We don't need to be focus on our religious thing. That's leave it at home.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for your question. So what I think, and especially when we talk about the culture, what we have to do is to grow into bringing in everything. It's more than just one part of your identity. Remember, culture is not just your religion or your food or your clothes. Culture is everything that you are. And I think as we get to learn more about each other, we get to learn about everything. I think I will respond to you by remind you of the example I used, where I was at a school once and we just automatically think the kids are Asian, they are Chinese. And so what we did, when you did that, you erase other identities. So what we need to do in our school is to work on bringing in all the various identities. And I think what I know teachers are doing now is that they are creating more forms, more ways of asking more questions than making assumptions. And so we have to respect all religions, all identities. It's about inclusion. It's about growth. All right. So thank you so much for that. And as I said, it's a journey. It's a journey. Thank you so much for sharing that comment. It is a journey. And the truth is, I love something you said. We have to learn how to make sure in our schools that we are focusing on education. Absolutely. And educating the entire child. Educating the entire child. So thank you so much for that. We are way over time. We have to close. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. Dana, over to you for the closing. Thank you so much, everyone, for your participation. And thank you for having me and for engaging. It's been a pleasure. Dana?
Oh, yep, over to me. Thank you so much, Dr. ABC, and to everybody for joining us tonight. And it was funny when you were rhyming off all the different delicious foods, all I kept thinking in my head was, I'm Irish and I think all I've got is potatoes, and that's really not going to make people that excited. But anyway, truly, as always, it's a good conversation. And for those of you, if this is your first event with us with Dr. ABC, we'll definitely be having more. They may not be this year, but they will certainly continue into next year, because as we all know, it is a journey, and certainly one evening doesn't help us learn everything. And so I hope you'll continue to respond to phone messages and send your emails, and we'll be able to get you included in more events to come. So thanks again, everybody, for taking time out of your evening and for joining us. We truly appreciate it. And hopefully everybody stays safe and well, and gets through the next few days and the next few months, and eventually we'll maybe be able to gather in person someday. So thanks a lot and have a great evening.